welcome to another episode of Empower Apps. I'm your host, Leo Dion. Today I am joined by Kaya Thomas. Kaya, it's been so long. Thank you for coming on the show.
Of course, Leo. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me again.
So what have you been up to since, gosh, whatever, 5 years ago,
5 years.
pre,
Yeah.
yeah. What have you been up to?
Oh man, I it's been a lot in the last 5 years. I took a break from iOS development and went outside my comfort zone and went to grad school and um, decided to do some more customer facing work and work on the people side of things. And it's been a whirlwind, and it's been a great experience, I think, to step outside of engineering a bit. And now I'm trying to mix both worlds and make a new app.
That's awesome. So I actually looked it up. Our episode was like right at the beginning of COVID, just to give you an idea. It was March of 2020, which is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Uh,
The start of it all.
right. That's when we thought Kobe Bryant passing away was going to be the worst thing of that year. So yeah, uh, it got a lot worse. So, um, yeah. So let's talk about this brand new app. Um, Milk Diary. You want to talk about why did you make this, and what did you find? Um, what did you find was the need that you feel like Milk Diary is gonna help with?
Yeah. So I became a mom last year, and that's a huge life change. And of course, because I love apps, I wanted to use apps as a part of like my parenting experience to help manage and track things. And so one of the most intensive parts of parenting like a newborn and a baby is feeding them. And the mental logistical things you have to keep track of, and the physicality of it. But there's a lot to think about, like how often they need to feed, how much milk do you have for them, access to them to access, like how much you have in your fridge, how much you have in your freezer, um, just understanding like the difference between you feeding them and you actually making the milk. So like there's a lot of like logistical and administrative stuff. And obviously, as developers, we know that the great thing about technology is it can help with some of like the logistical and administrative stuff. But I was getting frustrated because a lot of the apps um, were not flexible enough and were not really thinking about this kind of full experience and all the different like connections between how you have to make the milk, track the milk, store the milk. Like it's just like there's this whole holistic journey and process there. And I felt like all the apps that I were using might do one thing, but then when you need something else, you can't do it in that app. So you might have to use another app or track it in another way. Um, and I started to get the itch again. I was like, okay, I think I need to create an app because I felt like there needs to be something better. And I think that especially as a mom, I realized that a lot of the apps out there are not actually made by folks who are going through this experience, right, and living through it. And so having that experience and being able to also call upon like moms, my friends, and just moms in the community and get their experience as well, and be able to really make something that's catered to the experience of new parents and understand like what they would need and how to make an app that is user friendly, easy to use, and actually like saving time and energy.
Well, what does your daughter think of the app?
I mean, honestly, I she is I think enamored with technology in general, just because the idea of just touching the screen and having something happen, that reaction. So I don't think she really understands like what an app is per se, but she loves pressing things and and seeing it react on the screen.
Yes, yeah. Um, so so I asked Mrs. Dion before recording, what did she do? And she just used the Notes app, so which I'm not surprised, or a spreadsheet because she's love spreadsheets. Um, but yeah, this looks really awesome. Just looking at it. What one of the things that you talked about here was that really piqued my interest was the use of foundation models. Like, what were you thinking as far as how that would fit in with your app?
So before Dub, this year, I was really struggling with the idea of like smart intelligence features, right? Because I figured that integrating some type of intelligence would be great for the app because it could help with that more like efficiency and kind of logistical thing that I was talking about. But I was really hesitant to integrate any of the like cloud models, like any of the LLMs that are existing, OpenAI, Anthropic, etc., because this data is really sensitive. Like, I don't think a lot of parents want this type of data, like being sent right over the internet or being sent somewhere. And so I was really hesitant to integrate that. And so when they announced foundation models, I was like, yes, this is like my opportunity to be able to incorporate intelligent features in a really private way on device. So it was just a huge win. And I think the ways in which I'm integrating it is a couple of ways. So one is being able to log sessions via text or voice, right? So all of the apps where you track things around, you have to manually enter, right? Oh, here's how much, and how you have to go to the different text inputs and select the different things. And a lot of times, like as a new parent, you're tired. You don't want to be like
You don't have
doing
an
a lot of
extra
stuff.
hand because you're carrying someone. Yeah, no, I get it.
Exactly. So being able to just either, input text or even speak right into the app and say, okay, like I pumped 5 ounces, blah, 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 and then just have it saved. So just being able to save that time. So that's where the foundation models really come in, to be able to have those prompts that allow me to allow them to create the data that they want to track. And I think the difference I found with the foundation models really helped me from a developer side. I was really overwhelmed when I started to think about the cloud models and like how I would integrate them in a way that would reduce hallucinations, get actual data that was focused, right, and accurate. So the fact that the foundation models have guided generation is just so good. I mean, I think that you have to work on tweaking your data models to make sure that they work so you still reduce hallucinations, because that's just a thing with LLMs. But it's much better, and I think as a developer it allows me to have a bit more reliability and consistency on what I'm getting from the user prompts.
So are you using like the generated? Is it
Yeah, I mean,
generated macro?
generable. Yep,
Thank you.
generable
Generable. Is
macro.
it a macro or a protocol? Okay. So
Yeah.
you're using that, and then that would be able that would be the output that you're looking for when somebody says something, and that way it's
Yep.
actionable. Correct.
Yeah. So how I'm doing it, and it took a while for me to figure out the best way to think about like the data schema for the generable structs. At first, I was thinking I would just have like a session struct, and it would have all the data, whether it was a pump session, nursing, a bottle feed, right, and the foundation model should be able to detect based off what they're saying, what type of feed it is, and be able to fill in the data. But I realize actually, at least in my experience with working with the foundation model so far, is it's actually better to have smaller structs and have them be very specific. So breaking them out, because I realize that when you have just like a kind of catch-all um, uh, data model for the foundations, the hallucinations increase, and it's a bit harder for it to figure out exactly which variables it should fill in based off of the context of the prompt.
So you're using like enums and stuff to make it as specific as
Exactly.
possible. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Rather than just like a string where you can get something
Exactly.
crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So um there's both the feeding and the pumping, right? Are the things you're tracking in the app. But
Yeah,
then
so it's bottle feeding, nursing, and pumping.
okay. And then you also mentioned formula. How does that fit in?
Yeah,
Like what's the
so
use case for that?
yep. A lot of parents combo feed, right? So they use breast milk and formula. And so in the app you'll have the ability to track formula or breast milk. So if you're doing bottle feeds with formula, you'll be able to track that, what formula you use, like what type of formula you use. I know a lot of parents also try like different types of formula, right? And so you can even keep track of notes to see if there was reactions
Got
or
it.
things
Got
like
it.
things
Okay.
like that. Yep.
My youngest daughter, so I don't know if you know my personal story, but our four oldest are adopted. So at least the youngest, I think the youngest girl, who's now going to be 11, she moved in with us when she was a newborn, and we had a lot of formula. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I remember doing Xcode development and having her on my lap while I'm feeding her at 2 a.m. So
Oh
yeah, I
wow.
totally remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, formula, there's a lot to track.
Yep.
It doesn't last as long, right, as breast
Yep.
milk, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so yeah, I could totally see how that would fit in.
Yeah.
And I also like one thing you mentioned here, is twins or multiples, right?
Yes.
Like having to track multiple children. That's like a
Yep.
really important niche for some parents
Yes.
in that
It
situation.
is. And I have a close friend who has twins, and I realized in testing out a lot of the apps is all of them make you switch between profiles in order to track anything. So you have to create a profile for each kid, and then if you want to track anything, you have to switch like between profiles to track a feed or yeah, like that's so annoying. Like, and so that's one thing from the start. When I thought about like, okay, how am I gonna model this, app? I was like, okay, from the start, I want to make it super easy if you have multiples, and you don't have to switch profiles or do anything extra if you want to just track something and you just select which kid it's for, right?
So this is totally iOS 26, correct? Only,
Yes, it is.
and
It
iPhone
is.
only.
iPhone only, yeah. iPhone only to start. I think that like if I find that there's interest in iPad support or macOS support, I would think about it. But yeah, iPhone only
Watch
right
support.
now.
Watch support. I could see that
Oh yeah,
actually.
watch support is definitely something I want
Yeah,
to have because that is something I used a lot actually when I was feeding.
I
It
was
just
gonna
made it
say
really easy.
not Vision OS. I don't see that being really used.
Yeah.
So what like sorry, I want to ask this question, but did you do like a comparative analysis before you got started, just to see what was currently out there? Um,
Definitely,
and
definitely.
what was like? I was just kind of curious what's the marketing angle for those? How do they monetize?
Yeah.
Are they basically crappy React apps? Like what's kind of what's the environment out there?
Yeah, it it's interesting. I think so. I definitely did a comparative analysis, and there are like, to be frank, a lot of apps out there that track. You could track baby, newborn tracking and feed tracking and stuff like that. But I think there's definitely you have the popular cross-platform apps that are, in my opinion, I despise using because I like native apps and I find that they were a poor user experience. I think what I found is you have a lot of apps that are trying to do everything. So they're like,
Yep.
oh, you can track everything, right?
Well,
But
the thing I was thinking, sorry, it was just like,
yeah,
oh, Gerber has an app, and it's like, it's their app for everything. And then, by the way, we have
yeah,
this little milk diary thing over here in the corner. That's kind
yeah,
of what I was thinking was going
exactly.
to end up happening.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like the user experience is super clunky, and like just like it's hard to use and know like how you even track things and where you do it. And I just found like it's very overwhelming. a lot of these apps because they're trying to do too many things. And so for me, that's one of the decisions I made is like I really wanted to focus on the full feeding experience and be able to support everything in that space and not try to be this catch-all that's doing everything, because I think that oftentimes what makes apps great is when there is a specific focus, right? And you're getting really the value out of it because it can help you solve like problems for a specific need. And so a lot of the apps out there, I think, are there's some free apps out there that have like a bunch of like ads, right? Like, so they monetize like via ads. And then there's some that are trying to lean into, I think a big area that some of the larger apps are trying to lean into is like sleep tracking and sleep predictions and things. Personally, I don't think that, um, having experienced the ups and downs of newborn and infant sleep, I don't think an app can really predict.
Or even like,
Um,
what's the point in tracking? It's not like you can be
yeah,
like, all right, sweetie, but you can't do the getting up at 2 a.m. This is what my watch said. Like, they're not
exactly,
like, I don't. There's nothing
exactly.
actionable.
Exactly. So like, I mean, there's a bunch that are leaning into that. And then like you said, a lot of the formula companies like have apps and stuff that I think are, a means to sell their formula and stuff. And so there are a couple of indie apps that are nice, but I think because they are not, like I said, they're very specific and they don't support, so they might support one thing really well, but they're not thinking about the full journey of the feeding experience, and so it's not flexible enough if something changed about your journey. So that's where I feel like I can fill that space and that gap, to be able to provide something that's comprehensive and flexible enough to use throughout that entire first year, from newborn to early toddler days.
Right, right. Yep. So when you first developed the app, were you developing it for iOS 18? Okay, so you decided I'm going to do iOS 26. I want to really take advantage of everything new, including foundation models, but also you got liquid glass to deal with. How has that gone?
It I think liquid glass it's a moving target because every beta, right? Like there's something a little bit different. I think the most difficult part for me has been understanding like the best way to embrace it and where to embrace it.
Do you even have a choice? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, I mean you do have a choice. So I think for something like tab bars, you don't have a choice. But when you think about like some of your like buttons and like toolbar items and things, how you integrate it, you have a choice in terms of like how it looks and like how far you go, especially with custom UI elements, right? How much you integrate liquid glass. So I think that's been the hard part of figuring out like, okay, it's not necessary to have it for like every button, right, and every interaction. And so where do you prioritize having it, and like what what is the prioritization for liquid glass? Like, is it just for primary actions? It's so I think that's what I've been trying to figure out. I think the thing that I really don't like about it is um, it seems as if when I look at like the Apple apps in the beta, right, like notes and reminders and mail, etc., it seems that there's a lot of hiding actions behind menus and things that, where before, at least my understanding of like the design guidelines and what's recommended is you want to make it easier for folks to know where to go and what actions to take, right? And now it seems like kind of we're backtracking and it's making harder to discover actions and what you need to do in an app. And so that's what I've been trying to figure out as well, is like I don't want to do that. And so like for one example is the tab bar minimization, right? Like that seems like something that they're recommending for an app to do, is like minimize the tab bar. But I remember like in the guidelines around tab bars is like they explicitly said tab bars should always be present, right? And
Did they
so things,
have they updated the guidelines at all since June?
Yes, they have updated the HIG, the human interface guidelines. They have updated them, but there's like still, when you watch some of the old dub videos and now like you think about like the new things, I'm not understanding some of the decisions that were made, or like why some of these design changes have been made. And so yeah, like I think I decided, okay, I'm not gonna do the minimize tab bar thing because it doesn't seem like a good user experience. And so I think that's been the hardest thing. It's just like it seems like it's a moving target because things are changing so much in the betas, and it's not always clear like the best way to integrate it for the best user experience.
What's the frosted opacity in this beta? It's like every beta has a
Exactly.
different one. Um,
Exactly.
what other features were you interested in taking advantage of with iOS 26?
The other two that I've really been excited about is AlarmKit and SpeechAnalyzer.
Yes, yeah. I was
Yeah,
like, so when
yeah,
I saw that in the notes AlarmKit, I was like, finally, okay, now I understand. Like, for me, whenever I wanted to do something like that, I would just post notifications and go like
exactly,
that, right? Whereas,
exactly.
like, okay, now I understand why we need AlarmKit as opposed to just using notifications.
Yeah.
Um, rather than me explain, I'll let you explain why you're using AlarmKit and what you like about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously our last conversation was a lot about notifications, right? So like, yeah, so like obviously I'm an advocate for notifications, but I think for some apps, notifications are overkill, and I think notifications are not necessarily the best thing for every app because notifications are easily dismissed and forgotten.
Yeah, so I am very disappointed in the use of notifications nowadays because it's so confusing how it's been misused and abused by like marketing. While at the same time, like it's like some things, it's like I want to be notified because of this. I don't need to be notified because you have a new weekly ad for whatever, and that's been really abused, unfortunately, and it's made it really hard to like use the like not use it as a user using notifications because like sometimes I miss stuff now because there's so many notifications and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I just went through like an audit of all my apps to turn off notifications because I was getting so frustrated with missing things.
And focus modes don't help, unfortunately. They're like really difficult. I wish I understood those better. But yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like AlarmKit is going to be great for developers because for apps where you want to the user to take an immediate action, or like they want to be like notified in a way where it's like, okay, this is like an immediate thing you need to take action on. It's a great way to do that, and it's much simpler to implement than notifications. I think, like I said, notifications, it can be a lot to implement from the developer standpoint. It's a lot to think about and manage when you think about the notification center and everything, and like whether you're doing server side notifications, like there's all these things to think about. But AlarmKit so far is fairly simple, right? It comes with its own manager, scheduling, canceling, updating the alarms are super simple. And so I think it's going to be a great way for apps that don't need notifications, that just want the user to take an immediate action in their app. A way to do that really simply.
I do have a question before we get to SpeechAnalyzer. Um is there so what are you using to store stuff locally and do you have a server side component to it?
Yeah, so I don't have a server side component. I am using a sharing GRDB for my database
I
for my
laugh
database layer.
because yeah, I'll ask the question, why didn't you not go with Swift Data?
So I actually started out with Swift Data. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I started out with Swift Data, and it's not robust enough. The predicate handling is still lacking in terms of more like complex predicates. The CloudKit support only supports private CloudKit databases. It doesn't support shared. And so for me, uh, having the ability for parents to be able to share data is like essential, right?
Yeah,
You
I was
don't,
gonna. That's where I was going with the server
yeah,
side question: is if dad is
yeah,
going to feed the baby with formula or mom's
yeah,
pumped milk, like
yeah.
it'd be nice to have that component.
Exactly. So to be able to support CloudKit was essential. I also felt like Swift Data. I really like using structs, and so having being forced to have my models all be classes. Um, yeah, so I think that there's just like some limitations that with Swift Data, where I started out with it and I was a bit excited, but then as I started to start doing things that were a little bit more complex, I just ran into a lot of the limitations, and so decided to move on. And I've really enjoyed. I think uh, Point Free Code is doing a lot of great work with their libraries, their open source libraries, and so the sharing GRDB has been great, and they're working on a CloudKit uh, library as well to support it. And so yeah, I've had a great experience implementing my database layer that way.
I have, yeah, I've started being more and more disappointed in Swift out on the headaches I've run into with it. So, I support your decision. I get it. Um, are you going to look at some sort of server? What are you thinking? CloudKit, or are you thinking like Vapor, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely doing CloudKit. I haven't really thought about like server side,
I mean,
but
CloudKit would
yeah,
do everything you want
yeah,
it to
yeah.
do, right?
Yeah,
So,
it does everything. It's free. It's free. Yeah, and I don't like have to deal with authentication and account creation and everything, which is nice. But I have thought, if in the future, folks, if there's enough interest and folks are expressing interest on the Android side of things, um, I've thought about that, because like with my WeRead 2, I did end up doing Android version, but so I have thought about that, like, okay, in the future, will I need to have like a server side component, and think about that? But I'm not starting there. I'm like, I'll deal with that down the line if there's a need.
I agree with that. You got bigger fish to fry. Yeah, totally. Um, yeah, cool. Okay, so let's do it. SpeechAnalyzer. So you had talked earlier about how it's really hard for mom to tap on the phone and do stuff. I'm not a mom, but I've also grilled food and have had notifications on my watch while I'm carrying something. So using my nose is not my preference for interacting with my watch. So I totally get it. So I'm assuming that like SpeechAnalyzer is the same idea, where it's like, oh, I don't have to like touch the thing. I could just say, "Hey, Dingus, uh, I pumped 3 ounces of milk right now," or something like that. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there is still the you have to initiate via touch, right? Like the recording, but at least like there's less, I think, interaction that's needed, like in terms of like you typing
So
and
there's
things.
SpeechAnalyzer has not related to what I think I was assuming was like Siri Kit.
Siri Kit is different.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay. Maybe explain
yeah.
that, I guess.
Yeah, so SpeechAnalyzer is the model that is doing the transcription. And so it's a new on device model that is better than the old like SF SpeechAnalyzer. It's much faster, doesn't require the server dependency. It manages like the locales and the languages for you, etc. So it's the transcription side of things. Now, I haven't dived into Siri Kit, which is now I think Activity Kit. I think, yeah, there's all that. I want to dive into that because exact app intent. Yeah, I haven't dived into that yet, but I will have to, because I want to support live activity. I want to have widgets, etc. So I definitely will have to dive in there, and I haven't seen if it's possible to support transcription inside of an app intent. I think that would be really powerful. So like if I could have it be where it's like, hey Siri, log in milk diary, etc., etc. if there's a way to support that, I think that would be awesome because that would be completely hands off, like you said. But I haven't dived into that yet.
Because so it sounds to me like SpeechAnalyzer is an in-app experience that gives you a lot more power than what Siri would be able to do. Is that correct? Okay.
I think the cool thing is like with the foundation models, right? It's all prompt based. So the speech analyzer being a better model for audio transcription allows you to then just take that audio and then feed it directly into a prompt, right? And so I think it just allows more powerful features and integrations that way.
Okay. Very cool. Definitely want to take a look at this. This sounds awesome. Anything else you wanted to mention before we close out?
I mean, I think the main thing I've been thinking, technology and everything is changing a lot. Like this is a very, I think, interesting time to be a developer. But I think the exciting thing and one of the reasons why I got into app development in the first place is like the ability to like make cool technology that helps people in some way. And so I think when I think about folks, I hope that people still feel inspired and like have the energy and enthusiasm today to still want to make like technology that helps people. And among all of the talk of iOS 26, and I know people are there's a lot of controversy and upset, but I personally still feel really excited about Apple platforms and being an Apple platform developer. And so
I'm going to ask because I legally am obligated in 2025 to ask in every recording. Did you use any AI tools for building your app?
ooh, dun dun dun. I have I have used Claude Code. Tongue twister. I have used Claude Code. I think it's uh, Rob Napier had a really good blog post about uh, LLMs and how they're basically like really good interns. And I think that when you think about it from that perspective, it's not like replacing your development and coding experience, but it's a support of. And I think as a solo developer, when you don't have a team, right, and folks to be able to bounce ideas off of or get feedback, I think that's what I found it really helpful for is like, okay, like review this code that I wrote. Like, where are the downfalls? Like, how can I improve it?
There's a tool I just signed up for on GitHub called CodeRabbit. It's an AI tool for doing pull request reviews.
Okay.
But that's kind of like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I just feel like it, especially when you're a solo developer, it can be hard sometimes. Like, it's easy to just, write your code and like think everything is good, but you don't have that kind of feedback that you get that's really great when you're working in a team environment. So I found it really helpful for that, and just not having it write everything for me or anything, but just more trying to improve what I am doing and improve my development and make things a bit faster if I need help, writing something quickly. It's been really helpful for test.
Do you write unit? Do you have Claude write unit tests for you?
Yeah, I have been doing that to have it write test and make sure I'm covering all my bases there. So yeah, I have found it helpful in that way to be more like of a pair programmer intern type of experience.
How about stuff outside of coding, like marketing or copy or any of that stuff?
I've used it sometimes. I think what I usually do is I just ask it for a bunch of like variations on things that I already have written. So I think I always start, human, human first. So I'll write things and just say like, okay, can you give me some variations of this, in my writing style? What would you recommend? How can I make this a little bit more concise and whatnot? And so I have found it helpful for that. Again, I think when you're a solo team, it's just it's a helpful tool to just get feedback and to be able to brainstorm, right? And so I found it really helpful in that way.
I have a lot of thoughts on AI and coding. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm working on a series of blog posts and a video on it. So we'll see where
Oh,
that
okay.
goes.
Yeah, I'm excited
Um,
to check that out. So, are you like a proponent or?
I'm not gonna say. Uh,
Okay, we'll keep it for your
I'll say
series.
I use it a lot. I use it a lot. So I'm not a. There's such a there's such an extreme spectrum. It feels like where people are like, AI is great. I want it to take over the world and destroy the human race, and like it's wonderful. And then there's the what do you call it? The people who are like, no, AI is awful. It's garbage. Like we should stop using it and blah blah blah. Uh, I would say I'm in the middle, but everybody kind of would say they're in the middle in anything. So I have to like not sure where I'd be, but it's interesting you mentioned feedback because I do think one of its weaknesses, and you see this in a lot of places, is it will always tell you you're right and how great you are. And so that's my one weakness I've found amongst others. Like how well they're trained, if they're trained on new stuff, because you really don't want to keep using UIKit in 2025 and it's still trained on that. It hallucinate APIs that don't exist.
That don't exist. Oh my god, yeah, that is such a pain. Yeah.
As a Mac developer, I run into that a lot. There's like all sorts of new NS classes that don't exist that it creates because it's used the UIKit version. Um, but yeah, I do think one of its problems is it'll tell you you're right. So it's good that you're using it for like code reviews because I do think that's super helpful. And then, like other problem is people get lazy, right? Like that's kind of the core of it is like AI replaces work, so then you just get lazy and assume it's doing the right thing, which it's not a lot of.
It's not. Yeah, I think that's the number one thing I've learned with it is like I never assume it's right and I never assume that anything that it gives me is correct. So you always like I think people talk about, "Oh yeah, you're saving a lot of time." And to be frank, I don't know how much time I save with it because I do a lot of error proofing, right? Because it does a lot of hallucinations and so I do spend a lot of time like correcting it and like reminding it of like what the correct APIs are and things like that. And so I
If it
don't
does
know like
something wrong, I've been trapped in rabbit holes where it's like I'm spending way too much time trying to tell it no, you're doing it wrong, when I should have. Like, yeah, yeah. Kai, it was good to see you. I'm looking forward to having you back on in 5 years.
maybe yeah, maybe we can do it earlier than 5 years next time.
Your new app for helping kindergartners. Thank you so much. This is awesome. So happy to see you again.
It's great
Where can
seeing you,
people
Leo.
find you online? Where can people find Milk Diary? Is it available
Yeah.
test flight or sign up? Or yeah, go ahead, plug yourself away.
Okay, yeah. So Milk Diary you can find at milkdiary.com. And the test flight is not open to the public just yet. So I'm still in private alpha, but I will be opening up slowly testing opportunities so you can sign up for the mailing list on the website. And then you can find me online on Mastodon, kayathomas.is. And Blue Sky, although to be honest, I'm not really on Blue Sky that much, or Threads. I'm also on Threads. Same thing, kayathomas.is. And my website is also kayathomas.is. So you can find me online all those places.
Kaya, thank you so much. People can find me online at LeoGDion, at LeoGDion at C.im on Mastodon. My company is Bright Digit. We have all sorts of new stuff on there. I just posted the iOS backend cheat sheet, so if you're looking for what kind of backend to pick, you might want to take a look at that. And yeah, it was great for everybody to join, and thank you so much, and have a great summer. Talk to you later. Bye.